open for public comment. And since there is no public comment, we'll move on to new business.
All right, Tom, I'll take this one. MSD strategic work plan and goals. Big thanks to everyone that chimed in. Various forms, short-term, long-term, lots of good ideas, comments. What I tried to do was take most of these unedited. I may have had to edit a few of McKay's, but I tried to keep most of these unedited. And then try to put them in just short-term, long-term, short-term, midterm, long-term, and kind of just a homeless, unhoused, other category that just may not fit or is a very, very dynamic subject matter that just needs to kind of stand alone. My thought here today was really just square one, kind of go through these item by item. Get some kind of unfiltered comments. McKay, take note, somewhat filtered from you. And kind of have some deliverables moving forward. We may not be able to get through all these today. If not, then we'll continue on in June and take it from there. I think this is kind of a long-term process that probably needs to keep reoccurring as old business moving forward, even once we kind of nail down the even short-term, midterm, long-term goals here. I think it's one of those documents that should be living and breathing as things go, as things change, as we have new committee members come and go, and so on. So with that, I'll kind of start things off with the short-term goals. I think out of most of these, there were some pretty good ideas. I think some of these can probably get delivered if the committee wants to see it happen pretty quickly and without a whole lot of funding or resources, some of them at least. But we'll go through first. And I'm gonna, forgive me that I didn't put names next to who brought these, so I'll probably forget some of these. But first and foremost, develop signs or posters to be placed along the Riverwalk, informing those strolling by what they're seeing from that viewpoint. Include descriptions of land and view, historical description, points of interest, etc. Great idea. I think for the MSD to push forward with something like this, it would be, hey, number one, do we want to do it collectively as a committee? Number two, do we want to spend the MSD funds on something like this? I will say there's a few Riverwalk items in here, and historically there's been a few comments on this on the Riverwalk as a whole. I will say that the Convention and Visitors Bureau has engaged in a contractor to kind of look at the Riverwalk from top to bottom as in tourist eyes, and to work with the city and develop kind of an action plan on how to make the Riverwalk a destination moving forward. So that is also going in the background there. And I think once that's complete and there's some deliverables coming out of that, some of that could come back to the committee as well. So just putting that out there.
One thing.
I don't know. I think you had it.
Yeah.
Got to be patient. Try it now.
Hello. Oh,
There you go.
I'm gonna sing. The one thing they mentioned at the CVB meeting the other day, there's additional ARPA money left over in the city that could be allocated, so it doesn't all need to be on our back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think an overarching comment through a lot of these, all of these here don't have to be the MSD. Some of these may not even fit the MSD as you kind of go through there. I think that's for this group to prioritize and really see what's feasible, what's affordable, and what's truly, quote unquote, the MSD role. Terry, this is one I know I'm going to miss next week's meeting, but this is one that could be brought to that group as an idea, as a suggestion. I think they were looking for kind of some extra suggestions beyond what the consultant brought to the table. So, but outside of that, questions, concerns, comments on this one as we.
It's not gonna work. Clearly, Bill. We'll figure out a place where we can lean in. Sorry, it was my mic. I got here first. All right. The only thing I'll say about signs is they can look really bad really quick. And no offense, but especially if it's in the city of Wilmington blue lettering laminated situation all over the place. So way that signs look good downtown is either they all look totally different. Some are painted, some are lit up. They're neat and individual, or we got to put a lot of thought into that so it doesn't look cheesy. It's my biggest concern.
It's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if say, in theory, the MSD spends, 20 grand on signage along the Riverwalk, that's that one-time cost getting hit with that direct sun and salty air. They're going to fade quick and need updating regularly. Good point.
Yeah.
I think an example of the type of sign that would work though is the one that's used at Bijou Park. That's been there, for almost a year now, isn't it?
Which one?
The one at Bijou Park that explains what the theater was. It's a well-done sign and people are very interested. They stop and read it. I think things like that along the Riverwalk would be very helpful.
I think when we're looking at this too, we can always take note of technology that's out there. I recently had a meeting with a technology firm that helps produce QR codes in an online backing system that you can scan with your phone and pull up a picture and just a description of historical elements that are in front of you. And they can be programmed, monitored, changed. So if one moment you want to learn about Wilmington's waterfront World War II history, or if you want to learn about the Civil War, you can interchange these and also be guides to wayfinding as well.
I hate QR codes.
Well, there are already some information signs on the Riverwalk,
There are a
3 or
few.
4. So whatever we do, we probably need to be cohesive. Either they all look the same or,
I think my opinion is that we should put this in with that other group and consolidate it and see what comes from that group and get feedback from that. I know I walk the Riverwalk every day practically, and I like the maps that are up there, those guided maps. But even after people look at those and try to identify where to go, they always come up to you and they say, "Do you live downtown? Do you know where I need to go?"
The problem with those maps is they don't tell you where you are.
that's true.
It's just a map. I mean, they at least ought to have something that you are here.
Right.
I agree with Bill. I don't like scan codes. I try to break up with my phone when I'm walking around downtown. There's a metal sign as well near the George Restaurant on Thomas Gould. And that's not going to deteriorate.
I think Roe might help us with this too. I think they might be interested in participating and helping us come up with the right words and the right things.
And it might be something to put to Historic Wilmington,
Yes.
to Travis.
I think
Gary,
all-
you want
I think
to
it just
throw
needs
this
a
one
quick-
at the CVB group next week, just to put it on the list?
And then historically too, I don't know what other cities have done in having a better preserved sign, but I'm sure there's materials out there that wouldn't deteriorate as easily. So there could be some research done on that as well.
And however we have them made, if they will archive what's there, they can, if we replace a sign every 2 years or so, if necessary.
Yeah.
I agree that we don't want to put the signs out and let them deteriorate.
So just curious, I don't want to continue too long on a single item. Elizabeth and Bill, the dislike for QR codes, why is that? Just curious.
Like I said, I like to break up with my phone when I'm out downtown walking. And so I don't think that's a good way to interact all the time, just to have the phone out. But the metal sign, like the one at Thomas School with the raised etching, it's pretty to look at, right? You can stop and kind of gather around it and look, and maybe connects a little better. Not anti-technology, but it's kind of annoying when my only option is a QR code. What do you think, Bill?
When I go to a restaurant that menu as a QR code, the first thing I do is ask them for a printed copy, which is a lot easier to use. My phone isn't very friendly to me to begin with, or the other way around. So I just don't like them. I have used them, but I don't like them.
Well, and again, we could always come up with some kind of
Maybe it's a
hybrid of the two, where there's a very nice, really well done sign, and whether it's a website or a QR code, if you want to find out more information, or if you want the full battle history of this, please,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah,
all the
that's-
stuff that can't be
that's
put on the
good.
sign, but
Can
But
be-
I do somewhat agree, even though I love my technology, it is kind of annoying when you just see this one thing. It's like,
Yeah.
find out everything, but
Yeah, say we were to go down this route, one could be the kind of the core
Yeah.
information that you want to put out
Right.
there on Wilmington's history, the Riverwalk, or points of interest, or
right.
whatever, but then some of it could be some variable messaging that could change regularly based on events.
Right,
City initiatives, MSD initiatives, Riverwalk initiatives,
exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I have a feeling if you're under 35, they're not afraid of those codes.
That's true.
I was gonna say, we should have an old people sign and a young people sign.
Exactly.
Except who has
Which will you use?
Verizon downtown today? It's been out all day.
Yeah. it was a-
You can't get text, you can't get phone calls, everything.
What's out?
It's bad.
What's been out?
Verizon.
Really?
Is it now working? I just passed like 4 trucks on Front Street walking over here from Verizon.
Oh my
Still
God.
getting,
So hopefully we'll have it. Mine said SOS earlier today.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what's SOS?
I'm still getting robocalls though.
Okay, that's nice.
All right. Good notes, everyone. Terry, you want to throw this one at that committee next Wednesday and just see what reaction you get? Because I think there's a couple of Riverwalks on here, I think.
Cool.
And maybe, something, even if we don't get through all this today, maybe once we do get through it, so we can rank.
Mhm. Yep.
All right, cool. Next one, Bill, I think this one may have come from you. Pretty good one, pretty simple, direct. Rec here, provide a point of contact website that can collect comments, recommendations, report the problems concerning our downtown, example, water fountains that don't work or are leaking, dangerous broken sidewalks, etc. Got a question for the MSD stuff. Don't we already have a reporting mechanism?
We do.
Mhm.
You can go to the contact portion of the WDI website and you can submit a service request on the website. I can add public input into the drop-down menu, but just this week, we received a service request for a homeless outreach issue downtown. And we're able to respond pretty quickly.
How do we make that known to the general public?
That's what I was
Yeah, I was
just
gonna say,
gonna
how do we
say.
market
would
that and get it out?
Advertise
Yeah.
that more, yeah.
Excuse me. We do not see the PDF on this end. I just got the email. Can you tell me where you are on the PDF?
Second one down.
Provide contact.
Point of contact? Okay, thank you.
Just need to market it. If that's there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
With the marketing money that we have for this fiscal year and next, we are working, and Caitlin's actually helping me with this. We're working on a small card that we can pass out to the MSD ownership that will have information about the ambassadors program, information about how to submit service requests, and also a street outreach portion to the backside as well.
And Christina, the plan is also give those the ambassadors that they can hand out.
The ambassadors normally don't carry handouts just because they're performing day-to-day activities. But, maybe I could talk to James and doing that, one day out of the week until we
And just
reach
if they had
all
them on
those-
them, so if one of the courtesy officers or
Hospitality ambassador.
hospitality, thank you, hospitality folks were asked or saw somebody say, "Here," just so they had someone, their person.
Sure, I can talk to James about doing that.
Side note too, let's, doesn't have to be immediate, but maybe me and you get with city's communications team. Maybe there's some good social media outreach, just alerting folks of this website, phone number, hours of operation, that type of stuff.
Sure.
And again, could also be rolled into the sign initiative to make sure at the bottom of every, if we did move forward with the new signage, at the bottom of every one is
Here's
like,
contact.
yeah, here's how to get to the MSD, or here's, for additional.
So I think this one with some minor current changes and tweaks, this one's kind of already in process and in action.
Yep.
All right, number 3, signs again, identify trees and landscaping plants by name and variety.
QR code. That's what they do at Carolina Beach.
Covered by sarcasm. here.
too.
Well, since we have no trees on the Riverwalk, that's not a problem. There's no shade on the Riverwalk.
Yep, so no issues on the Riverwalk, but I guess front street, side streets. I know some of that you could get into potential challenges with the historic district. I think the historic district has to approve most, if not all that signage, type of signage that goes up. I like the idea. Is this something that the MSD would, want to spend money on potentially?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a tree expert. How many?
There's not that
Bill-
big a variety.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Bill, was this yours?
No.
Yeah, that was my question. Like how, if say we were to do this, there's what, a half a dozen varieties downtown, maybe a little bit more. Is it like a 1 per tree per block? Is it like a grouped consolidated sign, 1 per block? Some, just things you gotta think about. I don't think we wanna tack up a sign on every tree bed because they're just gonna get ripped down and vandalized
Right.
and all that stuff downtown. So just something to think about if we wanted to pursue this.
Kind of related to it, but the issue about green space, this would be a major thing, way beyond MSD, but it had to do with City of Wilmington, is the old federal parking lot and the green space that is to the south side of that parking lot. I mean, what we need downtown is more green space. And if that's available,
It's on the list.
that would be a good thing. And you can then enhance the thing about plants and trees and things of this nature by using that land if we could ever get a hold of it as a city.
So take away the federal government piece, but maybe, or the federal government property piece, but maybe that's a starting point, is some identification. I'll have to see what's in like the new North Riverfront Park and potentially Bijou and just some of the pocket parks. Maybe that's a starting point versus tree beds on Front Street and Princess.
Yeah, agreed.
Interesting. And Chris, I think the green space Coast Guard property is somewhere on here.
Yeah.
So. All right. Got a little mixed up, sorry. Provide cards to our ambassadors that they can give out, soliciting comments, suggestions to improve downtown. Kind of goes back to number 2 with the point of contact. Sounds like that's already in play. We don't always do it because a lot of the, clean style ambassadors out there
Right.
are physically working,
Yeah.
so.
They just carry a packet of cards, though.
So wear
Yep.
cargo pants.
Right.
It's feasible in that one. Talk with James, the team, what works, what doesn't work. I mean, that's a low hanging fruit one that can be accomplished pretty quick. Yeah.
And again, even if it was we did a separate card, it's just a card, like a business card for some of the clean and safe guys or clean guys. Literally, somebody might stop them. I mean, they're not going to be handing them out on a regular basis, but if you see somebody
And-
pushing a broom and want to ask somebody for directions, I'm probably going to stop them, even though they probably shouldn't be.
Christine, I don't know what kind of inventory we have on these cards. We get like hundreds at a time or thousands at a time, or if there's just boxes of them. I don't know, but maybe it's a good idea to, I speak to River Place as a good example. And with 3 residents here at River Place, I get correspondence a lot from River Place residents about,
Just call McKay.
Answer them once in a while.
oh,
Walked into that.
Monica, strike that from the record, please. Just, hey, there's glass in the sidewalk. This is non-River Place issues, city issues. How about that? Let's clarify. There's glass in the sidewalk, or the fountain isn't working, or, the dog waste bags need to get refilled. There's the surrounding area around River Place is a good dynamic of a small area, but a lot of the same challenges and reporting items that should be coming back, downtown wide. So what I'm getting at is maybe could we give, the River Place concierge cards or their property manager cards, or it's kind of an info PDF that they could shoot out via email to all of their residents that are on there.
Well, the ambassadors already have business cards that they give out,
Okay.
which has their contact information and how to reach the ambassadors. And we do take a lot of maintenance requests in through the ambassador email as well. So we cover it both ways. We cover it on the WDI website and submitting a service request, and we cover it through our ambassadors email and just by way of mouth through the ambassadors.
Do we have like an info PDF with all that on it somewhere? Like a proof, maybe even like a proof that those cards are based on, that we could just blast to some of the front desk folks that they could send out to all their residents at one time. Kind of an electronic PDF, just with who to call, when to call, how to email. Like an electronic version of the card, kind of.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I'll send
mean,
it to you this
send that
week.
to me, and I think, a few emails out to the Sawmill property manager, the River Place Gray Star folks, some of those big property managers downtown that also then have the email list of the residents, and everything else could go a long way as well.
Yeah, we could
did-
also attach it to the website for
Yay,
DBA
yeah.
for the business owners.
Sure, the design for the card's not yet complete, but
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just once.
You've got until tomorrow. Chris.
Yeah. No rush.
it's in the store.
These are long-term. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that is comboed with 2 can get handled pretty quickly. So we'll keep it on the list for now, but I think there's a quick deliverable on that one. All right, next, positivity boost, flowering baskets, petunias, summer, pansies, winter. We've really softened downtown on the initial MSD vision. Beauty to attract customers and look like hip and historic Leesburg, Virginia. My initial comment on this is, I think a year or so ago, the group kind of wasn't official action, but the group kind of was leaning toward and very openly wanted to kind of do away with the hanging baskets. And if I recall, some of the comments were more bang for the buck, as well as it's a huge resource drain.
Yeah.
It's a timing resource drain from, May through September that could potentially be utilized for, additional special projects, cleaning, power wash, stuff like that. So that's really my only comment.
And again, we also ran into that issue because of that North Carolina law that says only government entity can have a non-licensed or tagged vehicle. So we couldn't have, and couldn't even get it to where it was more efficient, at least a little bit more efficient with like a gator or something to go through and water these, because they have to be, like, if you're not owned by a municipality, it has to be a tagged vehicle. And I remember when Ed was here, we went round for about 8 months trying to figure out a way around it. There's not a way around it.
There must be a liability attached to that too, because those baskets, if they were to come loose, say in a heavy wind or hurricane.
Well, we had to do that to get them set up in the first place. Duke Energy, City of Wilmington's engineering department had to be involved. I mean, it was a heavy lift just to get them set up in the first place. It was, just
I
a
think-
huge drain overall.
I think putting the money into either additional trees or flowers or planting would be better.
And I think that's what we came up with in the last year was absolutely, there's a lot
Yeah.
better place to do that, because it's just not an easy fix for us to do.
So maybe the
maintain.
focus could be, instead of doing it district-wide via the baskets, let's look at a consolidated pocket area effort. Is it the core, front, and market? Is it
Right.
areas that might need a little bit more? Maybe it's Fourth and Campbell, Fourth and
Yeah.
Harnett, that kind of area or something.
Mm. Well, that island that the garden club did, where we removed the statue, is beautiful. They did an amazing job. And we've been saying, DBA and the downtown business owners have been saying, we need to go back to Azalea Festival and tell them to show some love to downtown, because they're taking advantage of downtown without putting any love back. So we'd love to see garden clubs do more. The little parks at each entrance to the river walk. I mean, just maintaining what's there is about the extent of what the city has the resources to do. But it would be nice to see more garden club type involvement.
You could do it just with like building mounted sconces, almost like
Mm.
building mounted sconce type planters that are at chest height or something
Mhm.
that you'd still get you could water them much easier. You just walk down the street and water them once. You could sure mount one on, any of our buildings. I'm sure most people would agree to it.
Yeah.
It look really cool.
Flowers, that was my idea. And just because we talked about it a year ago doesn't mean we have a speaker ban. But
Yeah.
I was in Charlotte on Thursday. Flower baskets all down Main Street. Absolutely beautiful. I see the MSD trucks parked everywhere. Pressure washing, graffiti removal. It's a guns and butter argument. We spent most of our money on homeless related matters, and this would be a butter for the tourists. So just keep it on your mind. If you're stepping on it today, keep it on your mind because it looks absolutely beautiful wherever they are.
It-
Maybe we have some time to work through this. Maybe.
Well, again,
let's-
it's not that we don't need, like McKay just said, if we could do them in a more permanent fixture or something, it was easier to.
That's an
to-
easier
it-
process.
Yep. Well, the other thing is part of the problem was we were having to spend so much money because of where we got them from and they kept dying. It was just this huge drain. So it wasn't that it was necessarily all bad, but just the overall, the way the process went, it just made it very difficult.
It's the one you just mentioned at Third and Market. I just noticed it this morning. It's gorgeous. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, when did they do that? Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Actually be a lot of fun is if it just was up to the building owners or the operators or something.
Right.
Like Common Desk, we would take care of them every day. We would plant them
Right.
and we'd plant whatever it was. But as long as it was a flower and flowering, it could be cool and everybody would be unique and it would just be,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
might be a fun exercise.
Yeah.
Have a prize for the prettiest.
Yeah, I mean, make it seriously, make it a competition. It'd be fun. And we would win it, but
Yeah.
second place would be open.
And I know for the MSC team, it was a matter of taking away some of our hours that we could be cleaning and pressure washing on the streets. We have 144 hours a week on average. The watering of the hanging baskets, just the watering alone took away 60 hours of that 144
a-
hours.
Mhm.
Half. It's a person and a half a week.
And that's not the takedown and setup if we have a hurricane or a major storm coming, because we did try and take those down. And the takedown and putting them up before and after the season had ended.
Again, or even more, we could get back to more point, maybe it is just on Front Street we do them. Again, a lot of that time was lost up on Fourth and some of the other places where nobody was seeing a lot of the stuff anyway. So there could be more strategic. Again, whether it's the sconces or just on front or just,
Or
rather than,
continuation of what the garden club did on.
E-
Third and
exactly,
Market
that-
Further into our district,
Some-
maybe it's 5 of those
Right.
beds that need some good
Yeah.
TLC, similar to what you'd been mentioning on Third Street.
Yes, and we,
No.
we had 155 of them when the program was at its peak.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of watering,
Yeah.
but maybe we could even look at it at a reduced size.
Yeah.
yeah.
We were just in Charleston and the window boxes in Charleston, I mean, they're pieces of art. They're beautiful. And so I've come back and I've called Floriana's, the owners there, and I said, Jamie, the building looks terrible on the outside. Stick some window boxes. I mean, I can pressure, but I wonder if there's a way we could put together some kind of a program to help incentivize the business owners to do that.
We used to have a landscaping grant program. I don't know what happened with it. That was before
an
my
idea.
time, but we did have a
I-
landscaping. grant.
I mean, a grant's great and everything, but I think a contest is,
Yeah.
you're dealing with, yeah, it'd be fun too. Yeah, it's competition. It was a couple, $100 or something in plants, but
Mhm.
Maybe there's some MSC funding on the material to then.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the MSD buys the planter, so all the planters look the
buys
same and then,
Yeah.
Those that want to partake.
and then if you
it's kind
don't
of a
partake,
grassroots.
Yeah.
you're a curmudgeon,
There you go.
Nobody will shop with you.
right?
Interesting. All right, like it. All right, I guess this number 5, I'm not sure which number we're on, but McKay, I unedited this one. This one's yours, so I'll let you fully explain it. Looks like Lieutenant is not here, so I was hoping it could be a showdown here, but he's not present.
I'm here, Chance. I'm
All
here.
right, Lieutenant. I knew you wouldn't let me down this afternoon, so this one's
Right.
for you. So I'm gonna read through it. Sorry. Just once want to see the horse cops chase down and or lasso someone. The other day, a kid came flying down Walnut on a skateboard and ran the front street stop sign down right in front of him. Thought for sure I was going to get some YouTube footage. They just let him go, missed opportunity. So,
Yeah, I've spoke to my guys. They're training for that. They'll be in full force this weekend. So
Can we have demonstrations at Azalea Festival?
absolutely.
McKay, I'm not sure what you're looking at this one, other than, some fun and games, but as well, just some code type enforcement on the skateboards, I guess, maybe, or.
No, I actually got a warning for
Okay.
skateboarding downtown one time, so
Okay,
I do know it's illegal.
all right.
But no, just, I mean, the horse cops are there and they're awesome and,
Yep.
they're doing their part, but it's for sure a showpiece for the city.
Got it. So maybe the deliverable here, Lieutenant, is just, those guys do an amazing bang up job, but I think the more they're out there and showing the face, showing the horse, the better perception is for everybody downtown, PD, MSD, everybody. So.
Thank you.
All right, next up, this is a good one. We haven't talked about this one in a while, and I think Nancy brought this one. So correct me if I'm wrong. Follow through with the progress peer platform. Follow through with progress that the peer platform has made in the MSD and identify how to access their reports. So that's a good one. Christina, you wanna?
Caitlin. So I've hired Caitlin, and part of her duties and responsibilities is to take over what I was originally hired for, is to go business to business and do the peer platform survey. That platform is developed. We are looking through the MOU for that platform. And we can start working on it at any time. Caitlin is working on getting trained on that right now. We're getting together some literature that kind of explains to the businesses and the property owners what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. And then she will start hitting the foot of Market Street and going business to business, leaving cards, leaving information packets, and explaining to them as well what the MSD is, what it does, our various programs, and that sort of thing.
Awesome. So it sounds like this one might be in process.
Now, as far as accessing reports, I am trying to see if there's an appetite for business owners to share information like, revenue numbers. It would be nice to say, these many coffee shops in downtown Wilmington generated this amount of revenue over the last fiscal year. Given that piece, I don't know if we would want individual businesses sharing. I don't know if we would want to share individual businesses information, but on the overall sector, big picture, I think we could generate reports that way. But that can be a further discussion by this committee at another time.
Yeah, I think there might be a few members here that weren't here when the kind of peer platform was
But
kind
it's
of passed and
it's
developed
turned
and
into
created.
vision, and
Right.
I'm sorry, I can't tell you what peer stands for, but Mark Mazzone had come on and presented to this committee a few months ago.
Year.
A year ago, maybe. Sorry, my years running together, but he did come here and I can have him return if you'd like to explain more.
Yeah, maybe it's a good idea to bring it back for a quick refresher in a couple months, especially now that Caitlin's on board and we're kind of rolling out some of that outward public facing side of what's been done with the platform. Yeah. Nancy, I think this one was yours. Any more questions or comments on that one?
It looks like that's to be determined. That was mine, and we have been subsidizing it, I think, for a year, maybe twice. And I'm just anxious to see the fruits of their labors. I don't think businesses will share individual financials. That's a great idea, Christine, to lump together maybe coffee shops, the genres. If you get truthful answers, but that gets really delicate when you start asking about people's money. Anyway, I'm anxious to see the end result. So I'm glad to hear that we have somebody else on board who's training with that. And I look forward to hearing Mark come and explain it again to us. Thank you.
All right, last one I had on the short-term list. And I don't recall who sent this one. Store trash cans only permitted outside on collection days. I think this is already in the city code book. How well it's enforced is probably a whole nother.
I brought it up.
Maybe you,
One of the items that I think I brought it up. You know, if we're not gonna do much on the alleyways, what you find if you're not doing anything to beautification projects on the alleyway, there's a tendency for those businesses to put their trash out in these alleyways, and the alleyways become very cluttered. And some owners are very good about it. They bring it out. They know when things are collected. Other ones just, they got an overload inside their shop, I'm sure, and there's only one way they can do it, and that is to put it outside. But it's a detraction for pedestrians. It's not a good feel for the downtown area when it isn't being regulated and enforced. So that's my.
what I would say maybe outside of the city's blue bag service, which is a whole different, ball game. It's, 3 times a day. It's out an hour before every pickup. So it's being an hour after pickup. So that's a whole different process. Does this one maybe belong with the overall alley subject maybe and it's not just the beautification and activation of the alley, this one goes back, but it's really a cleanup and maintenance program of these alleys as well.
Well, I'm sure probably the ones that are the worst offenders are ones where the employees down below in the organization, the ones that are on minimum wage, limited hours, they're the ones that are being held responsible for dealing with the trash. And maybe they're not aware. And maybe they can be aware.
We're also having problems with residents downtown that are using the recycle bins, and they're gross. They're nasty, and they're leaving them out front of their unit all the time. I mean, we have the penthouse property at 109 South Front. Both the tenants on the second floor leave those nasty things out there, and we've got people going upstairs and paying $600 a night to be there.
Right.
And that's their first view of Front Street. So I'd like to see that recycle bins are included. Bring them out when it's time to have them picked up, bring them back in.
Right.
Is that part of the city's RTS downtown service? Like the recycle side of?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if you ride by, you'll see them as you drive by today.
Because the blue bags are pretty organized and the
Mhm.
recycle cans are kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
There's
they're
big cans,
gross.
there's small cans, some are clean, some are
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Nobody ever cleans the recycle bins. They're just,
Let's hold this one. Let me peel back some more layers with the RTS downtown team and see what's allowed, what's not allowed, and what the city's role on the enforcement side of this is first.
Well, and the other thing is that on the Riverwalk itself, it has the old brick waste things that don't separate recyclables from trash. And I just think to get code, it'd be nice to have everything at the same. You have blue, you have green, and you can fasten those things down on the Riverwalk. So during a heavy wind season, you don't see these lids being blown all over the place like the current ones do.
You want to put that one on the Riverwalk
yeah.
list?
That's also, those brick containers is a breeding ground for the palmetto bugs.
Yep.
I mean, you don't want to lift that thing.
Nice try.
I asked recently, because Christina brought this to me, just about the kind of the trash can, additional trash cans, the newer trash cans as a whole downtown. And let me ask again and get some more clarification, but I was told that right now there are no plans for the city to purchase any of the new blue recycle and new black metal cans. I think most of that was bought on grant funding in previous years. Other than for new development, say there's a streetscaping, say, we streetscape the 100 and 200 block of South Front next. During that process, the new cans would then be brought in. If this is something that the MSD wants to use funds for, I'm sure it's feasible, but I will say those black and blue metal cans are pricey. They're like $1,100-1,200 a piece, if not more. So just something to think about. But let me get some more information on both of these.
There really are only like 5 or 6 of them.
total.
About that amount. you know, 'cause Cape Fear Community College,
Yep.
basically. Market Street, pretty much.
Got it.
They take up a lot of room. That would be tough on the Riverwalk.
So do the brick cans. The brick cans
Oh.
are they? Versus the combo of both of them together, I guess. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Maybe there's a smaller version that's more appropriate for the Riverwalk, but just newer, cleaner and can handle
I
both.
think that a lot of people are dumping their trash on the Riverwalk. bins. You can see a lot of times there's overflow because it's not adequate enough to have just one bin.
Terry, I left early. Was that piece brought up
No,
in that
just-
Riverwalk meeting? Okay.
Mm-mm. I know, we've noted it before that the newer half has the newer trash cans on the Riverwalk, the older half.
Got it. All right, I think that one's some more information that on the action items that we can bring back. As expected, it's 3:40. Do we want to, only a couple midterm? Should we go through midterm and then go through reports? And then I can compile short-term, midterm notes, send it out, and then we can continue long-term and the other items in June.
Yep, that works.
Cool. All right, midterm. First one on midterm. Aroma. I was walking home last week down Front Street in the morning, smell like urine, block after block. Deterrent is not to present human urination in our public areas, and we should do a New Orleans approach, massive city worker, daily Lysol on sidewalks, et cetera. So I will say the city, they don't power wash every block every night. There's somewhat of a pattern, but they do sweep and power wash regularly, just not every single block, every single day. They're covering all of downtown with the RTS team. MSD team already supplements a lot of those city efforts. And something Christina and I talked about very, very briefly is, something that could get added in this summer that we haven't had the capacity to do because of the hanging basket. We're gonna have 60 man hours potentially that we haven't had in years past. The summer, instead of watering those hanging baskets, it could be put more toward stuff such as this, where we're hitting more of the supplemental power washing of some of these high profile challenging blocks, more than the city is, more than we have on the supplemental side in the last 6 years.
Mhm. And not just the urine. I mean, I've many times come out of my office in the morning and had to clean up, throw up.
Yeah.
Or poop.
Wasn't me.
Poop.
Yeah, yeah, that's,
I think more of that could go into our special projects rotation,
Sure.
or we combine pressure washing schedules, maybe,
Or
to see.
coordinate pressure washing schedules. So if the city's hitting one block, we're hitting the opposite block. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Find out what their schedule is.
I think looking at that first may be beneficial.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And then we can kind of assess and take it from there. And I do agree with Elizabeth, it can,
Yeah.
it can get pretty daunting, walking through some of these areas and you get hit with the smell or
Yeah.
have to step over, throw up in the morning. So if we can get a good rotation going, especially, early Saturday morning and early Sunday morning, before the pedestrian traffic comes through, maybe a good idea.
Anything else on this? It's a good one. I think we're all seeing it daily. So I think that's one that, we'll keep on the list and can hopefully with some coordination, without any extra funding or anything, just focus on, coordinate.
And if
Hopefully
anything, we
make an
move that from
impact.
midterm up to short term. I mean, we should be able to get that turned around fairly
Yep,
quickly.
got it. Good point, Tom.
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
This might be McKay on the next one. Art, movable art, murals, statues, dedicated chalk boxes. It's really just art focus on the art, different architecture in every building, interesting people, every simulation is the name of the game, and art is a sorely missing component of our downtown. Probably agree with you there. I think most of the folks at this table would agree with you there. I think the mural happening at Bijou is a good step to be happening right now with this subject matter.
The painting this last weekend where they let the public paint, it was a great idea.
Yep.
A lot of people have gotten excited about it.
There's Arts Council in the past has collected money for, outdoor sculptures. And they haven't come to us the last 3 years asking for money. Usually we always allocated 500 a year, and you'll see a lot of the work out there. So maybe this is something we need to take up with Rhonda when as it goes. But the other thing, McKay, the meeting with CVB, the big talk is energizing those little parks, coming back with like chess sets and, anything to make them active, every one of them, and make it a place that you want to go. And that is kind of tying in with what you said there.
Yeah, just an activity. I mean, we're going to put some chalk out front of Common Desk probably next week.
Mhm.
Maybe draw a little hopscotch thing, but just something for kids to do.
Mhm.
Another one of my points later on was that like downtown sucks for kids.
Yeah.
It just does. And there's no reason we can't have chalk in Bijou Park. I mean, somebody's going to complain and, oh, it looks messy or nasty or whatever, but it's going to be fun for kids, like that should make you happy.
With an 11-year-old that refuses to come downtown unless she's with a friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Downtown's just hostile with children.
Yeah.
Beer joints for them.
And the discussion also was, and this gentleman's very frank, he said, your Northern Riverfront Park is not a park. And you've got a water feature there that's a foot bath. It's not a water feature. So they're pushing us to consider real, like splash pads that could become skating rinks in the winter.
Terry, every Saturday in the summertime, I attempt to go to the splash pad. It's completely shut because
Yeah.
it's a concert event day.
Mhm.
So I agree with that. And to find the playground, you really have to search. There's some Spider-Man nets. But
And the bathrooms, they're usually locked.
What about, this is I think this is some potentially what the MSC's role is to be determined. I think both funding and just action. I think coordination with the Rhonda on some ideas is good. I mean, I grew up in Richmond and lived in Baltimore for 17 years, for 5 or 6 years before moving from Richmond to Baltimore. Richmond had this art, I think it was like almost like a giant carp type fish sculpture, and businesses sponsored an artist, and it was a blank giant fish sculpture. And then each business sponsored the artist came in, and it was kind of an ongoing contest each year where the new sculpture would come in, the new artists would come in every year, and there was a contest. Same in Baltimore. I think for like 5 years in a row, they had a crab sculpture type business sponsored contest. I mean, something along those lines, what the MSD's role could be, but just some ideas.
I think it's important enough that all the downtown, the various agencies could set aside. That mural was 50 grand.
Mhm.
And if we do one of those a year for 10 years, pretty soon,
Yeah.
it's going to be a really neat city.
Yeah.
And other businesses will chip into that. And if WDI, $5,000 comes from that budget and $5,000 comes from this, and then we get $25,000 worth of sponsors, we can get some really cool artwork.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all at once.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I don't want to, I'm just saying it's important enough that I think, if we do one big piece a year or 2 medium-sized pieces a year, we'll be there before long.
Absolutely agree. It's just something we want to run through. Who should be coordinating this with? Would it be Rhonda's group? With the art council? Would it be us? Would it, again, to help pick artists and would we come up maybe with an action plan to help Rhonda facilitate it, or?
Rhonda was involved with the Bijou mural, right?
And she made the final selection, I guess, her team. I know when the whole mural issue started coming to light, we started doing more on Castle Street because we knew we could. And the restrictions were, if it mentioned the name of the business, then it became a sign and it was regulated. But if it didn't, it's art and they couldn't regulate it. But Rhonda did not want to be the one to make the decisions. But I think she's grown accustomed to it now.
Well, Clark Hip is kind of, and Rhonda both kind of spearheaded the idea of doing that project and
Yeah.
pulled a bunch of folks from the community to the table to go through and make a proposal call and go through a selection process and that sort of thing. And the end result, I think, is very tasteful. And one of the main reasons, or not main reason, but one of the reasons was this community art piece that the artists had kind of built into their mural program. And if we can get more folks like that to the table, it not only generates an art piece, but an activity for people of all ages to come and enjoy. And I think just in general, if we're going to put funding towards a big project like creating a mural or establishing some sort of water piece on the Riverwalk, the MSC should be working with all of our partner agencies to consolidate or to bring together funding. So we're not all spreading our money in different small projects. We can put it in one big piece and get a bang for our buck.
Just quickly, we could copy the art at the Hannah Block. It's a red sculpture and kids are welcome to climb on it and play on it. We stop and spend 10 minutes there. It's a speakerphone on each side. So it would be McKay's idea for a kid activity and sculpture. And it's just super fun stop.
I'm not kidding you, that the little fish is right outside of my office window, the fish that spins. And every 4 to 6 year old that comes around will spend 10 minutes spinning on the fish. Yeah, it's just, I'm sure that's not what it's made for, but they love it.
You know, there was a point under the next, under long-term, the first point about Princess Street. Is there something that can be done along with that? Medium term with long-term regarding Princess Street? If that is an issue around the courthouse and things of that nature, is that a possibility to make that more amenable for traffic?
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
an open discussion, closing that one block of Princess and just making that more of a park, but that's a bigger discussion than we can.
All right, we'll knock out one more on the midterm and then we'll hold long-term, Chris, till next month. I'm not gonna forget about you because we're about to run out of time.
I'll throw one thing in quickly.
Yep.
The seal that has been gone since Florence, that's one that could quickly be moved to short term and brought out. We still have people asking at the visitor center where the seal is.
The seal.
He just fell?
It's not there anymore.
No, it's under the water.
Florence knocked it over. Parks and Rec got it up. They
Oh.
stored somewhere.
The one that was out in the water off the,
Yeah.
off the river.
It was right in front of Ballast.
Yeah.
All right, let me talk to,
Florence knocked it out. It was part of an old playground that got taken over by the river.
Doug. and
Florence knocked it
that
over.
team.
From my understanding is the Parks and Rec picked it up and stored it somewhere looking to have a permanent home for it.
Gotcha.
Let me talk to him and see what the status is and if it's potential to bring back.
I like
Yeah,
I thought it was a dolphin.
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay, yeah.
I said seal.
I didn't remember
Dolphin.
seal either.
That seal was a dog.
Yep.
Fence, it's kind of worn from
The
being
wear
in
and
the
tear.
river for decades.
So replace the seal.
Last one, I think, Chris, we already kind of covered the Riverwalk. So we covered the trash can side. Let me peel some layers back on that. The Riverwalk rails on the south end, there's an engineering project already funded within the city. They're working with a third-party engineer right now on basically removing most, if not all, of the handrails on the south end of the Riverwalk and bringing in new handrails. I think the challenge and what they're trying to figure out now is what to do with all that old metal instead of scrapping it. So they're trying to come up with some creative solutions on how to recycle that metal. So that
Wha-
one's,
Why are they scrap? That can absolutely, it can be painted. They just have to do it right. Whoever painted those the first time didn't do it right, 100%.
they're still working with the engineers on the solution. So I'll come back with some.
I mean, my father's a painter. I'll just call him and we'll get them painted right. You just got to, I mean, with paint, you really have to, people don't understand. You got to do it the right way. You got to clean it the right way. You got to prep it the right way. Those handrails were not painted correctly. They don't need to be scrapped though. But whatever. Make money on it somehow.
I'll stop there with these.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll stop
continue
there
on
with
next
that.
month. I'll
Awesome.
compile notes action items, everything I got here, and put them in that next column. We'll continue on next month.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Just a quick question. I also have a sheet from 2019 and 2020's MSD work plan and goals. Many of them haven't been achieved and, well, not many of them, but some of them haven't been achieved. Can we pull some of those into
Sure.
the discussion as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Good idea.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Do you want to just pull all of them that we feel like hasn't been? Do you want to highlight some and just send them to me, or just pull
Sure.
them all?
And Christina, was that the final list or the like initial one? Because some of them I think we might have, and if you and I want to sit down and go over it, we can look at it too. Some of them might have been scrapped for a reason. That's just so we're not beating a dead horse.
We'll give Bill a little taste of his.
I hate them in restaurants.
All right, then we will move on to reports. Lieutenant, you're up first.
All right, real quick, just a snapshot of some of the stats from last month. We had 13 alcohol-related citations, mainly were open containers throughout the district. We have 4 arrests for DWIs, 6 drug-related arrests, 2 were misdemeanor, 4 felony. Those came from some traffic stops that were taking place after bar closing. And we did 3 bar inspections and compliance checks over the month. The crowds downtown are starting to pick back up. As we know, it's starting to warm up and get hot outside again. But we have not had any major issues. To combat that, we are getting 3 additional full-time officers downtown, fully assigned to us down here. And also with school getting ready to release, the county and the sheriff's office and the police department will be sending quite a few of their SROs to be down here for the next couple months while they're out of school to also supplement that manpower. Our mounted guys, I know the horses was a big thing earlier. They have switched over. They're not going to be down here a lot during the day. Their hours are going to be from 2 o'clock to 12:30. Their plan is to get down here about 4:30 in the afternoon, work the bar or the dinner crowd, be seen. And then the nights that the concerts and the venues open down there, they're going to walk down there and be seen and help out with crowds down there as well. So other than that, it's been a pretty good month, but nothing else to report.
All right, thank you, sir.
Can I ask, 4 felony drug charges after bars close? Are we at liberty
That's-
to ask what?
So basically, some of the
Drugs?
clientele is starting to, I don't know how to say it, but some of our active gang members that we have open investigations on have been frequenting some of the places downtown and maybe not even going inside of them. They kind of hang out on the sidewalks as like a social hour. They get there about 12:30 at night. And once they leave, we are stopping their vehicles as they are leaving the downtown area, and we're finding some drugs on them. And a lot, like we had a success last summer doing that. So we're trying to make a statement early to nip it in the bud a little bit this summer.
Gotcha. That's great. And no more questions on the WDI.
All right. First, I wanted to see if anybody had questions from the MSD report. If not, I'll just kind of note some of the highlights. Okay. So we had hospitality contacts were up by 12%. Hospitality escorts increased by 68%. 70 motorist assists, a little over 1,800 hospitality contacts, and 225 business contacts. We had 53 special project hours and street outreach efforts. We saw 6 housed, 2 sheltered, and 36 quality of life issues. Of note, recently I was contacted by the mayor of Evanston, Illinois, who had reached out to WDI to talk about the ambassadors program and our street outreach program. We had a very good conversation, and they're kind of looking to us. They were looking to us to kind of make some suggestions on what's working, what's not, and it was neat to be recognized by somebody in the Midwest. So Great job by our ambassadors again for getting recognized by another city. We have formed our downtown development committee and are having our first meeting next week. And very excited about the process for that. Going forward, again, you guys just want to note the VG Park mural is ongoing and will be going through the rest of the month. So if you haven't had a chance to stop by and look at it yet, please do. And then we have started the development of the new Bring It Downtown online parking map. The development of that website will take about 9 to 10 weeks. I'm giving them 12 weeks to try and flesh out all the details and design for it. Once we complete that, the development portion, it's going to be housed on the WDI website with Bring It Downtown information. And then we're going to start inputting information for the parking decks and working with the city, the parking rates, and then start inputting information for all the businesses surrounding the parking decks and beyond in the central business district. It will be a community effort as well. We're going to be trying to get some help from our local business community in helping us input that information. It will go through a screening process, so we're not having less than tasteful folks coming on and putting businesses that are not known to downtown. And we'll hopefully launch that later this fall.
All right, great. Anything else?
No.
If there's no questions, we'll move on to the city. Yes, sir.
I think most of my time went into preparing those goals, so I don't have a whole lot. NCDOT paving project touches pieces of this, of the MSD. Believe they're about to wrap up the South 3rd Street portion. Looks like there's still some striping and some small follow-up items, but it's supposed to be finished as of Tuesday evening, but it looks like there's a few more small. Believe they're continuing on pieces of that further south on 3rd Street as well. Market Street heading east from 3rd Street up to 28th, I think, is also in queue to get paved as well. So it was outside of downtown Independence, Shipyard, 3rd Street, and then Market Street. So pieces of NCDOT maintained roads downtown. Courthouse construction rehab work from Florence continues. I think originally they were supposed to be done around July of this year. It looks like that's probably going to push into fall. Is the last date that I heard. Parking rehab project next door to 2nd Street projects about to finish up this phase, wrapping up the east stairs, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Also an LED lighting retrofit going into there that has been completed. In our budget next year, there's a $600,000 CIP that's also planned for the next phase of repairs of that parking deck, which is mainly aesthetic stuff, painting, minor concrete repairs. We're also working with third-party engineers on a visual assessment for repairs at the Market Street parking deck is to most likely getting bid out by the city in the next, I'd say 90 to 120 days, with work commencing potentially this calendar year, possibly next calendar year. It's probably it on the city side. Lightning round, trying to get us done at, I guess, 4:01, 4:02.
Pretty good. Yeah, you're doing good.
Any questions? Bill, you've always got a handful. What you got? PPD building. Right now, we're waiting on the LGC decision. We're in front of the LGC, I think, on May the 5th, May the 6th, somewhere in there. It was pulled from the agenda. It was transitioned to a presentation to the LGC. City has not been officially put on the June agenda. So we're kind of at the mercy of the local government commission's decision on whether to approve. Number one, get us on the agenda. Number two, get us on the agenda and approve that potential acquisition. So that's really where it's at. It's up to the state. Yep.
All right. Thank you, Chance. And if there's no additional questions or comments, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, get up.
All right.